Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector. The National 2023 is in the books. I am back home, got home late Saturday afternoon. Julie picked me up at the airport, ran home, changed. Daughter's birthday was yesterday. She turned 22, so we had a pickleball party. So that was great, being out in the heat and sweating, playing some pickleball and having a good time. But getting back home and kind of having to get back to real life is always an interesting thing. Now it starts all the processes of now you got to do laundry and now you got to pay bills and I had to do a bunch of kind of normal stuff, I guess, and putting all the cards away, which is actually one of the things I enjoy the most, is coming back and going, okay, I get to mark this off a certain checklist, and this fills a hole in a project, and this gets to get put away in its place. And for me, every card has to have a place. And so getting it to its place is part of the joy for me. It's part of the enjoyment of, adding the cards to my set registry, the slabs, the VCP, looking it up. And, in the moment, you think you get a good deal, and then you go look later and you're like, oh, that was awesome. Or, man, I probably overpaid a little bit for that, or whatever. It's just, that's a fun part of it for me. And so I definitely enjoy that. Some of the highlights for the show, not surprising, it's going to center mainly around people, because kind of the been to one national, been to them all. Although this one was bigger. I'm going to talk about the show itself in a minute, but certainly the Thursday night get together blew away my expectations. I had no idea how many people would show up, and the fact that we didn't get a true count. One guy counted, Chris counted, but 250-ish would be my guess of people that came at some point during the get together, and that was awesome. Which is crazy, by the way. Hanging out with people, meeting people I didn't know. It's so hard with that many people, and I want to talk to all of them. It's like I gotta kind of work the room, I guess, a little bit, and make sure. I wanted to say hi to as many people as I could, and that just meant I didn't get to spend as much time with as many people as I wanted to, but that just kind of is what it is. I hope that you guys that went, if you went, were able to have a great time, and seemed like that was happening. So that's good. Then again, on Friday night, Filmington Mike O kind of put together a hangout down at the Lowe's hotel. That was awesome. And there was trade nights going on. And so getting to see pretty much, mostly the same people, a couple of new people, but that was great, hanging out with everybody that night, kind of my final night before leaving on Saturday. Interviewing Dick Perez was in person. I've done it several times on the channel, but being able to do it in person and shake his hand and just tell him in person what a major influence he's had on my hobby was an honor and a privilege. So I was glad to do that. Of course, talking to Dr. Beckett and, had some other pretty significant conversations. Peter Steinberg at SGC. I talked to Joe Drelich, who's going to be running the National going forward. Just great conversations. But I have to say, like, the biggest thing for me is, no doubt, and it's not even close, it's what I'm about to tell you, and then there's a giant gap, and then everything else, and it's hanging out with my friends. All of us have friends that we're really close to and friends we know and all that. But for me, my roommates, Garrett, Andy, JT, Mike Canadian Cards, Michael Moeller, Double X the Beast, we had an absolute blast in our room. And our room kind of became this hub where Dave and Caden would come over, and Josh Rated Rookie would come over, and Chris from Missouri, and John Wade Boggs fan, and Scott Scotty Tradition, and just Andrew Nuff said car. I'm just trying to think of Eric would come over. All these guys would come over and we'd just hang out. And that was so fun. Just sitting around shooting the bull, teasing each other, making fun of each other, eating pizza, doing whatever. That was some really great quality time that I thoroughly enjoyed. So, golly, and helping guys buy cards and walking around with, hey, Mike, can you come look at this? And got to spend a lot of time with Josh. We were buying a lot of similar things, some autographs and stuff. So we had a great time and just absolutely wonderful time with friends. And it just reinforces how awesome this community is and how awesome your friendships only get stronger. You know, I never got annoyed with them. I don't get frustrated or anything, because we just hang out and we have fun, and it's like, I don't get tired of them. It's fantastic. So no doubt, highlight of the show for me was getting to spend more time with those guys, all of them that I mentioned, and a lot of them I didn't mention. It's so hard to make sure you say everybody's name if you can. I mean, obviously, we'll have tons of memories, but those memories of, I bought this card with this person there helping me think through it. That is, when I look at cards, it brings back, not only, it goes backwards and forwards, right? So let's take the Ted Williams auto that I bought, 92 Upper Deck. You know, Josh helped me through that decision, and that'll be a memory about the future. And then I have memories ties to the card from when I was a kid, thinking it was so awesome and I'd love to own one of those someday, kind of thing. So it's like these weaving together of memories that makes this hobby so much fun. All right, let's talk about the show itself and my thoughts. These are my opinions, my personal thoughts about the show. I will tell you, it was very crowded. It was, I'm sure we're going to hear, oh, record crowds and all this. They won't release the actual numbers, which I think is really stupid. I don't understand why they can't just tell us how many people showed up. Why does it matter? Why not tell us? But too crowded. The aisles and the setup in the convention center were, you know, small aisles, very crowded. Trying to navigate to places. Obviously, after a day or two, I kind of figured out, hey, meet me over here. I knew generally where that was. If somebody would say a certain section or whatever, you kind of get the lay of the land, no doubt. But it was so different from other nationals in Chicago. You had this whole extra space, essentially the size of another national, and navigating all the corporate stuff and weaving your way through that. The only good thing about all the corporate stuff is usually they had carpet. So for those few steps that you got to walk, it was comfortable. But other than that, I didn't stop at a single corporate booth, really. That's not my thing. Very carnival-like atmosphere at certain places, you know, skee ball and video games and shooting hoops and stuff like that. That's great, actually. But obviously no air conditioning was or at least the air conditioning wasn't keeping up. I don't know if it wasn't on. I never heard anything that rumors were flying about that, but I have no idea. Was it on and just not cranking? Did they leave doors open they shouldn't have left open? I don't know, but it was freaking hot. Wednesday, I probably sweat 12 straight hours. And if you guys ever sweat 12 straight hours, and you're walking around a lot, chafing occurs. I'm just saying. That wasn't pleasant. But you know, your feet are going to hurt and all that. That's just kind of par for the course, but it didn't have to be so bloody hot. And to me, it's too big. It's like there was just too much. And I bet there are people there that went for 2 or 3 days that still probably didn't see all of it. And that's kind of a shame that it has to be that big. But I'll tell you, with that, all those complaints, and they're not really complaints, it just is what it is. I don't know that you can fix it. You can't go backwards. You're not going to say, ooh, we want the hobby to be smaller. I'm thrilled that the hobby's growing so much that many people want to attend the show, that many dealers want to set up, that much corporate presence. The corporate presence is necessary. It kind of feeds the beast. It funds the whole thing. So none of it's bad, but you just need to make it where it's a lot easier. You need a much, much bigger space to put all, they crammed all of that in there versus going, all right, we're going to have X hundreds of thousands of square feet more and spread it out a little bit better and make it a little bit easier to navigate. Because I don't want the hobby to go backwards. I don't think the National should go backwards. And they're going to have to figure this out because Fanatics is coming and they want all of it. So to think that Fanatics events and all, all the things they're dreaming up while they're sitting back there twiddling their thumbs and going, watching like, ooh, how can we make this better? They're thinking about how to make it better. So if the National doesn't make it better, Fanatics is going to come in and there will be no more National in the way that we know it now. So I think they just need to be in a gigantic space where they can spread it out. And next year might prove that because the IX Center is actually one of my favorite actual venues. Some of the stuff about Cleveland are great, and I can't believe we're already talking about 2024 already, or that I am, but the IX Center, from my two Nationals there, 14 and 18, I was like, God, this place is huge in terms of aisle space was big. All the things I'm not happy about the Chicago setup may or may not, it should be alleviated a little bit in Cleveland, but we'll see. Again, what do? Not a whole lot. You don't want you don't want to make it smaller. You don't want to limit dealers. You don't want to limit attendees. You want as many people that want to come. You want as many dealers that want to set up. So it's a conundrum for sure. They're in a pickle. They got to figure some things out. But overall, I would say it's like every year, every National is my favorite National. It becomes my, like, that's the best one I've ever had. And it again comes back to you guys. It comes back to, I know more people in the hobby. I feel more connected with the people in the hobby. And so that just every year adds to the experience and just makes it kind of a must-do event for me. And I just can't imagine not going. They had it in Tibet. I'd probably figure out a way to get there. So it's just too much of an awesome experience to miss out on. Yes, picked up some great cards, and yes, all of that, the hobby part, but it's networking and connecting. So thank you, everybody, for if you were there and you helped make that experience wonderful for me. I appreciate it. If you weren't there and followed along on the experience on the daily recaps, I appreciate you watching those too. And hopefully you felt like you were there, or at least felt like you got a piece of it and understood. But yeah, great experience. Loved it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep collecting.